Big Brother is coming. Big Brother is creeping up on us. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video.
NordVPN is becoming more than just a VPN. Threat protection will guard your device against malicious websites, malware, trackers, and intrusive ads, even if you're not connected to a VPN server at the time. Step up your cybersecurity and stay safe.
Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. Although this video is not about crypto, there is no point having crypto if there's no freedom. This video is about Ulez, LTNs, 15-minute cities, ghettos, 21st century ghettos that the powers that be, the parasites that rule over us, are instituting. Now, before I continue, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel, and please come and subscribe to me at Odyssey, bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey. I post more material there than I do on YouTube. To subscribe to me on Odyssey, it's really simple. It's an email sign up, and then you get notifications if you want for when I post videos. And I post videos on crypto, on finance, on economics, on politics, macro politics, and also on COVID, the consequences of COVID, fighting the Great Reset, and I'm going to be doing stuff on LTNs because I cannot abide by them. Now, I said that they have been tried before, and I'll say what they are in a moment, right? But where people have been contained in a particular area, a particular part of the city, forbidden from leaving, or where it's been managed really tightly. So the Soviet Union and also apartheid South Africa with the Bantustans, okay, larger than cities, but also the pass laws, which gave people, people had to go through all these checkpoints before they could access certain parts of the country that they were born and brought up in. The other place where 15-minute cities have been tried before is the Warsaw Ghetto, where the Nazis used it to contain Jews. Absolutely horrific episode in human history. And we have to watch out because they're doing the same thing here. Not necessarily the Warsaw Ghetto. They have technology now that they can use cameras to put us inside a digital prison. And that's what the Ulez scheme is in London. Now, that's the ultra low emission zone. That's what Ulez stands for. And also the LTNs, low traffic network. They're rolling them out in Australia, in Canada, in France, in the UK, really in all of the countries that had the most severe lockdowns and that are, I would say, captured by the WEF that want to bring about this great reset. Now, why do they want to bring about this great reset? Because the currency system, the Western monetary fiat system, is collapsing. It is folding under the weight of the debt that's been accrued. That's a function of fractional reserve banking. Every single fiat currency throughout history, the 3,500 of them, has gone to zero. Every single one. Now, by fiat currency, I mean the government issued currency, which isn't really backed by anything, which isn't money. Now, real money, Bitcoin, gold, and silver. That's real money because it can't be inflated away at a whim, at some mandarin's or politician's whim. Now, what they want to do, the plan of the low traffic networks, is to save the planet by imprisoning us. That's what they say. Well, they don't say the imprisoning us bit, right? But to save the planet in order to cut pollution and to cut the carbon dioxide emissions. That's really why. And I'm going to talk at some point in this video, I don't know when, right, how they can do that, but a much, much better way that's cheaper, way more affordable, that preserves our freedom, that actually does cut pollution, because the LTNs don't. It's just the pretense that, if they said to you, listen, we're going to imprison you, we're going to restrict your movements because we have the power and the authority to do so. Well, we wouldn't go for that, but they have to kind of mask it in a way that makes it look acceptable and reasonable and sensible as they groom us in order to abuse us. Okay, so low traffic networks I think Oxford is pretty far ahead, Oxford City in the UK, where they've split the city into 6 zones. But I'm going to be talking about Ulez, which is the greater London area, that all of London, in order to travel inside London and travel about the greater London area, you need to pay, I think, £12.50 a day, unless your car is, or your motor vehicle has an exemption or is compliant to some emission standards, some BS emission standards. Now, this picture is from an article from the Daily Mail And the article was posted on, when was it posted? Tuesday, March the 21st. And this video may be going out a little bit later, but I'll link to the article in the description below. And this is from the Daily Mail, and what it says is that Ulez cameras are being used for snooping, warning that Sadiq Khan, he's the mayor of London, is playing with the privacy of millions by giving Met Police access to thousands of new eyes in the sky coming to London. So not only are you going to have to pay extra just to move about if you're in a vehicle in London, the police are going to be keeping an eye on you. Now that's a violation of our right to free movement, and it's also a violation of privacy. Where do the police get a right to know my movements? What? No, this is not a police state. At least not, it wasn't, but it's slowly, the slide is towards a police state. So what does this article say? Metropolitan Police are currently assessing which cameras they want access to. Oh, that's nice. Well, I would like to assess what information or resources that the police have that I would like access to. The Ulez is expanding across all London boroughs from August 29th this year. Critics say that Sadiq Khan is playing with the privacy of London's inhabitants. Too bloody right he is. Now, the other reason for stopping freedom of movement is it stops protests. If you can't move from your suburb or it costs you extra, I mean, it's gonna hurt the poor disproportionately. It costs you extra to go to another part of the city, to go to where there's a demonstration happening. Well, you're not going to be able to do it. So then how on earth can you protest against further authoritarianism like the CBDCs and the digital IDs that they want to bring down the line, that's coming down the line for us, right? It is going to fail. It is going to fail, but they're gonna go for it. Campaign groups have hit out at Sadiq Khan for playing with the privacy of London's inhabitants. After it emerged, he has already granted the Met Police access to new cameras installed for the Ulez expansion, and he's done this without any sort of consultation. Which fair enough, right? Because if there was a consultation, he'd ignore the results anyway or fiddle them. The Mayor of London has granted TfL, Transport for London, the power to give the Met access to additional automatic number plate recognition cameras last year, when faced with serious backlash from privacy groups and opposing councillors. Newly installed Ulez cameras have even been vandalized in some cases. No, say that ain't so. I think it's more to do with street art, and we'll have a look at those in a moment. More than 300 ANPR cameras were recently installed, while a total of 2,750 are set to be added by the official launch date on August 29th later this year. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is I think there's going to be a massive non-payment campaign. People are just going to refuse to pay. Why on earth should people have to pay to travel around, just to travel around in their own vehicle that they've already paid for? We already pay road tax. You're going to pay to go into this particular zone? I'm sorry, this is not the Soviet Union. This is not apartheid South Africa, and certainly not Warsaw Ghetto. It also emerged earlier this month that Mr. Khan's officials had secretly ordered hundreds of enforcement cameras before the public voted to reject the project. So he'd already had it in place, already ordered it, before asking members of the public, asking Londoners, would you like this? And the Londoners said no, but too late, he'd already ordered it. Okay, so here we can see the current zone here, inner London, and in central London. Central London, this is inner London, and this is the proposed Ulez zone, which will hit the, I mean, just look at here, right? It's Kingston upon Thames. You know, if you live here and you work here, you're either going to have to go around, which is going to take you more time and cause more pollution because you have to drive further. You can't go across here. It's going to cost you £12.50 each time. So it's going to have an impact on the counties around London and, like I said earlier, on the poor. And it's a lie that it's being done for pollution, because there is something they can do that's cheaper, that actually tackles pollution, that won't limit people's freedom, that people will actually want. They're like, yeah, this is good. That has all sorts of other environmental benefits, and I'll tell you what that is later. But what's happened is where they've trialed it where they've trialed it, what they've found is all that happens is all the traffic goes out into the ring roads, and you get incredible congestion and traffic and pollution on those ring roads. It makes no difference. Okay, now the Sean Berry of the Green Party has launched a legal challenge against the move with Open Rights Group, a privacy campaigning organisation, and law firm Bindmans in August last year. In an update provided to TfL's Audit and Assurance Committee, which met on Wednesday, a statement said the Met Police are currently working to complete their assessment of which additional cameras they want access to and what the privacy and equalities impact of that would be for submission to TfL prior to any access being given. Sophia Akram, policy manager at Open Rights Group, hit back at the mayor's decision to implement more surveillance on people in the capital. Sadiq Khan chose to push through this decision to grant the Metropolitan Police access to ANPR data without public consultation, playing with the privacy of London's inhabitants, she told Mail Online. London is already one of the most surveilled cities in the world. This is true. There's more CCTV cameras than most cities in the world. We need more scrutiny about how the ULEZ scheme will expand this surveillance, especially as it could ultimately spread to other parts of the country. Oh yes. Oh yes. If you're somewhere else in a WEF friendly country, like the ones that had the lockdowns and the injection rollouts and stuff, don't think it ain't coming to you. Don't think it ain't coming to you. It's coming. It's coming. So we have to wake up and resist this by all possible peaceful means. Now, one way of resisting it is through street art, and I'm going to show you some street art later in this video. £12.50 charge. Mark Johnson, advocacy manager. Thank you, Daily Mail. Of Big Brother Watch echoed Miss Uncrum's privacy fears. ANPR is one of the largest surveillance networks in the UK, yet remains dangerously unregulated. Can you imagine all the cities and towns around the UK having this? And then the police having access to the information? Yeah, but if you've not done anything, so the supporters say, that's illegal, then you've got nothing to worry about. Yes. Snowden said? No, not Snowden. I can't remember who. But here's the deal. If you compromise liberty for security, then you deserve neither. I think that was JFK. But the idea that the police are this benign force, that this isn't going to disadvantage certain communities, and that therefore it's okay, is dangerous. The idea that the governments won't misuse this information in order to persecute us further is dangerous. In the Netherlands, before the Second World War, they had very, very clear demographic information through their censuses about what sorts of people were living and where, the demographics, the Jews were in this house and the Christians in this house and so on and so forth, right? Which made it really, really easy for when the Nazis rolled in to find the Jews because the government had that information. So this can make it really, really easy for the police, for the government to abuse their power. And without privacy, there's no freedom. How about we get to surveil them? How about we have more transparency from them about what they're doing, about how they're doing it, about how they're serving us versus them watching over us? Mayor should pay more respect to Londoners' right to privacy and shelve these plans. The most recent update shows that UK police force requested information from TfL 17,020 times, with more than 16,000 between the Met and British Transport Police alone. I'm not going to go through that. What Sean Berry has said, I'm disappointed that the mayor has not listened to repeated warnings that sharing the cameras from the expanded clean air zone with the police was a huge increase in the surveillance of Londoners that should not be signed off by his office. Because what happens is that the police and government just give them more power and they will abuse it. Give them more power and they will abuse it. That's what's happened with the Patriot Act. That's what's happened with the anti-terror legislation. Where we have, like what happened in Canada, peaceful truckers being characterized as white supremacists. Where we have in the US people who peacefully object to the direction of the Biden administration, Trump supporters, being characterized as domestic terrorists. What the fuck is that? They're peaceful, entirely peaceful. It's used by increasingly authoritarian governments to chip away at our liberties and our freedom. Okay, let's go on. Oops. Here we go. I want to show you what the comments are, right? One of the things that I think is really great about the Daily Mail, it is the most read newspaper in the UK, and I find it really useful for tracking, I'm just going to refresh the page, sentiment within Middle England. And I used to go to all the Brexit articles when the referendum was happening to find out where is the mood of Middle England. It's a conservative paper. Okay, let's have a look. Best rated. Actually, let's look at the worst rated. The worst rated comments. That's a good thing. If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about, which completely ignores the potential for government to abuse their powers. And if you have done nothing wrong and you think you should be surveilled and you should have no privacy whatsoever, then in the comments below, or better as a send me an email so nobody else gets to see it, right? But please give me access to your bank account. Please give me access to your cryptocurrency wallets, because you've got nothing to worry about. Please give me the key to your house so I can come in and watch you whenever I like, because you got nothing to hide. You got nothing to worry about then, have you? Absolutely, but someone will find fault with that as well. Yes, that's right. That's right. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Do nothing wrong is another one, then nothing to worry about. That's right. That's right. Yeah, we want to turn into East Germany. Problem is, everything can be deemed a crime and almost everything monitored. I say no victim, no crime. Common law. You lot say comply or be branded a criminal. That's crazy. Well, that's a very good point, because innocent until proven guilty, and you have to be proven. Somebody says, I used to agree with this until they started finding people who met for a chat on a bench during lockdown. Good point. Good point. Only the little Brexiteers are worried about cameras, and it's not because the cameras adds £10 to their already large frames, but because they are usually up to no good and don't want to leave evidence at the scene. Right, I'm not going to deal with that. That is nonsense conversation. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. If you're doing nothing wrong, then you have nothing to fear. Okay, so do we really want the UK to turn into some sort of police state like North Korea or Saudi Arabia? And what that does is it kills freedom. Without freedom, there's no creativity. And it doesn't, again, like I said earlier, do anything about the potential for abuse by the authorities. Okay, let's have a look here. Best rated. It's time to wake up and start protesting like the French. Yup. Why? I don't have anything to hide, and if they intend to try and bring down the crime epidemic, then fine with me. Well, what they'll do, they'll just find more and more crimes. They'll just find more and more reasons. And they'll be able to target particular people who dissent, who aren't necessarily criminals, but are just peaceful political dissenters. People need to wake up. It's turning into a surveillance state. And if the intention was to reduce crime, they would employ more coppers. More camera means more surveillance. If you believe it's about crime, start getting your news somewhere else and decide for yourself what the real reason is. As much as it could help with crime, it's first of all a way for the mayor to make money, pure and simple. Potentially, there could be a darker side too. Well, I think there is a darker side. So all the measures that are being carried out by government, local and central, a lot of them, right, are impoverishing people. We have high inflation, interest rates are going up, they're increasing our taxes, and now they want us to pay for moving around, and they're doing it under this spurious notion to fight climate change and to fight pollution. Really? No. Here's a really, really simple way, effective way, and then I'm going to show you some street art of fighting pollution and creating a pleasant environment. You know, if you really, really do believe that carbon dioxide is going to cause all sorts of climate change, more than the Milankovitch cycles or the solar cycles or anything else like that, well, you need to look into all the other data points that all the other factors that shape the Earth's climate, because I tell you, it ain't carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is plant food. And there are plants that can capture carbon dioxide if it's a concern for you. And why is it plant food? Well, carbon dioxide plus oxygen plus daylight with warmth gives you glucose and oxygen. Sorry, plus water. Carbon dioxide plus water and warmth and daylight gives you glucose plus oxygen. That is photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is plant food. It isn't a pollutant. But here's how you solve here's how you can remedy the pollution. You can capture carbon. You can make cities pleasant to live in. You don't have to restrict people's freedom. It's cheaper. It requires much less maintenance. Plant trees. Trees, lots and lots of trees. They provide shade, so it'll keep the cities cooler. And through evotranspiration, they also keep the atmosphere cooler, plus they capture the carbon. And they're lovely. Who doesn't love trees? People love trees. And they're good for hugging, rest your bicycle against them, and great for the wildlife. You don't need any surveillance. You don't have to track people's movements. You don't have to find them. You don't have to limit them to a particular area. Because the other thing, there are certain trees, I think the beech tree is one of them. Let me know in the comments below if it's the beech tree or other trees, right? That are really good at cleaning the air, at fighting pollution as well. And they last for hundreds of years. Okay, let's look at some street art, right? And because another way of making the city look prettier is through street art. And here is a slogan on a spy camera which says, "Stop electing idiots." So this is a little bit of political street art, right? But what a beautifully placed box. And here is some art possibly done by a child, maybe, very tall child, or a child on a camera. Surveillance cameras cost about £2,000. A can of silly string, £2. Defeating 15-minute cities, priceless. And it looks kind of interesting as well, you know, all those tangled up fibers and stuff, right? Although it probably will cost the city, you know, a fair amount to clean up this art, should they decide to do so. But I'm sure the artists will come back and replace it. But you know, they'll have to pay for workers to come and clean it, and then that artist will probably come along again and spray it again, and perhaps they might spray it with something that isn't so easy to take off, because they want their art to have longevity, to last. So that's going to cost even more in terms of maintaining it. And then if people refuse to pay, then where's the government's going to get the money from in order to maintain these expensive surveillance systems? Now here is a camera that's been given a mask so it doesn't catch COVID. I wonder if this camera has also been injected. And really the mask is no good at stopping viruses, but it probably is very good at stopping automatic number plate recognition. Oh, by the way, if the fines aren't payable because it's not a criminal offense. This is a civil offense. It's a dispute. So you can't go to jail for not paying these fines. You can just get into a dispute with them, and one way is to look up common law and get to know what your rights are. Okay, here we go. Here's some more street art. Look at that. There's two here, little bag here, shopper's bag. And the other advantage that this has is it's advertises a particular supermarket. So maybe this art was sponsored by a supermarket, and it keeps the cameras windproof and waterproof, which I'm sure they appreciate. Okay, here you go. Then, what do you do for a living? Me, God's work. Oh, you're a minister? Not quite. I am a performance artist, says this guy with a hammer. Okay, doing some performance art. Okay, that's the shopper bag over at protecting the camera from wind and rain. Good. And here is some performance art, a sculpture that's fallen to the floor. You can see here, let me move me there. It was above Ulez. It's maybe the wind blew it down. That could also happen, right? Just a gust of wind came and blew this down. All 4 Ulez cameras, cables cut at the top of Knee Hill, Abbey Wood. Aha, at the entry points. I would like to shake the person's hand who did this. We must fight the move towards charges per mile. Remember, this is not about air quality. It's about charging every motorist to drive anywhere. Now, just on the road charging, which is coming later, once they get the 15-minute cities and the Ulez up and running, which they won't be able to do because people are going to refuse to pay, and because of all the artists who want to beautify their city and protect these cameras from wind and rain. So it ain't going to fly. It won't prevail. What was my point? Yes, the road charging. It isn't going to be by vehicle. It's going to be by individual app, by individual person. So then you can be charged. Potentially, they can extend the charge for cyclists, pedestrian, traveling by bus or by train, because they're going to know where you're going. They're going to know how many miles. And they're going to say, okay, you've traveled far too many miles. You have to pay us this much per mile. I wonder, you know, people like Sadiq Khan and the other politicians, what are their lives going to be like when this is all over? There will be a reckoning. They're not going to be able to walk the streets. More performance art. There is that stop electing idiots. Here's another box here. Can't see what it says. That shopper bag. Here's another shopper bag. So that's an anthology of street art. And here's what I showed you earlier. Actually, in fact, I think the way that this is done, people have done this by just sellotaping the bag to a broom handle and then lifting it over and then pulling it down. So the sellotape gets ripped off from the broom handle, but the bag stays to protect the camera from wind and rain. And here we said that documents obtained under Freedom of Information laws reveal how TFL began ordering hundreds of number plate reading cameras for the scheme in April 2022, a month before the public had been asked to have their say. Oh, they didn't want us to know that. This paper understands the order was worth up to £15 million. They didn't want us to know. Now, the world is so much bigger than 15 minutes. 15-minute cities will kill a city's vitality. It'll kill small businesses. It'll kill social intercourse. It'll kill communities. We will be imprisoned. We will not put up with this. There will be a reckoning. Do not pay. Do not comply. Stand for freedom. Those are other things. Stop the road closures or small businesses will close and your house price will halve. Well, yes, if they let you live in house prices. There were already 15-minute cities in Poland during the Nazi occupation. They called them ghettos. You could only leave with a pass. In 1941, the Nazis introduced the death penalty for going out of your ghetto, as they called it then. Okay, links in the description below to a couple of Telegram groups. Get on Telegram, find other groups that get awake to low traffic networks in the city where you live. Warn your friends and family. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with freedom. This is Crypto Rich signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.